Hello, my friends. I'm so glad to be here today to share something with you. Something that I believe will truly touch the hearts of each and every one of us. Especially for those of us who are searching for deeper meaning in life. There's one big question that Jesus left for us, and I believe it's one that each of us needs to answer for ourselves. Are you ready for his return? This isn't a question we can answer casually, nor just because we think of ourselves as believers. The return of Jesus isn't an event we should simply wait for from a distance. It's a condition that each of us must prepare for. We must be alert, aware, and ready. And the important part, one that many of us overlook, is that it all comes down to obedience. In today's busy world, we're so used to waiting for external signs, wars, natural disasters, or major events that we hear about on TV or social media. We might follow each piece of news, thinking that those are the indicators of the end times. But very few of us realize that Jesus didn't call us to wait for those big signs. Instead, he gave us one simple, clear command: watch. I remember hearing a priest share a message when I was younger that has always stuck with me. He said, "Being awake isn't just about being alert at the end of time. It's about waking up every day in every moment in the life you're living." And that's something we really need to think about. Being awake, as Jesus calls us to, isn't about waiting for something dramatic or complicated. It's simply about being ready, about being attentive in our hearts every single day. Have you ever wondered if you're truly awake? Or have you, like so many of us, become so caught up in the busy rhythm of life that you've forgotten to prepare for the return of Jesus? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, am I really living like someone who is expecting Jesus to return any moment? It's a big question, isn't it? In the Bible, Jesus didn't talk about preparing for his return just by waiting. He asked us to watch and obey. It's not about just waiting around, but about doing something, about actively preparing our hearts. And the more we reflect on it, the clearer it becomes. Are we really living according to what he's asked us to do? Or are we simply going through the motions? This isn't about fear or getting caught up in dramatic end-time events. It's about living a life of readiness, a life of preparation and obedience, and most importantly, love. Because when Jesus comes back, he won't be looking for the curious or the knowledgeable. He will be looking for those who are awake, who are prepared, and most of all, those who are obedient. That's what today's message is really about. Not just waiting for the signs, but living in a way that reflects our love and obedience to God every single day. Now, my friends, let's dive deeper into something that I believe is truly important for us to understand: being awake in life every single day and obeying the Lord. I hope that as you listen to these thoughts, you'll realize that being awake is not something distant or difficult to achieve, but it's something that's available to us in each moment of our lives, in every little action, in every small decision. One thing that I always try to emphasize when talking about the watchfulness that Jesus calls us to is this: being awake isn't just an action, it's a lifestyle, a daily attitude. This is something that few of us really grasp. In the busy world we live in today, many of us think that watchfulness means waiting for some dramatic big event. But the truth is, the watchfulness that Jesus speaks of isn't something flashy or complicated. It's simply a state of readiness in our hearts. Let me share a real-life example with you, something I've witnessed myself. A dear friend of mine, someone who's been a devout believer for many years, used to think that waiting for Jesus was something far off in the future. He believed in his return, but he didn't truly live his life in a state of watchfulness every day. He was waiting for big signs or major events to occur. But one day, he had an epiphany. He realized that true watchfulness isn't about waiting for those big things. It's about how we live every single day. The small things, helping others, being kind, spending time in prayer, reflecting on God's word. He began living in that kind of watchfulness, and it changed his life. Not because he suddenly knew more or did something grand, but because he started living with a heart of readiness. True watchfulness is a shift in the way we view life, in the way we handle the small things that make up our everyday existence. We're often so focused on big events or the external circumstances that we forget that life is made up of small, everyday moments. And those moments are where watchfulness matters most. One question I often ask myself, and I encourage you to ask as well, is, am I really living like someone who is waiting for Jesus to return? This isn't about participating in religious activities alone. It's about obeying God in everything, in our actions, our choices, the way we treat others, and the way we live out His Word. In the Bible, Jesus repeatedly emphasizes that it's not just those who hear the Word, but those who do it, who will enter the kingdom of heaven. In Matthew 7:21, He says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven." This is a powerful reminder that hearing the message is not enough. It's doing what God asks of us that truly matters. And if we really want to live in this state of wakefulness, then obedience is key. Obedience isn't a burden. It's a response of love, a choice we make from our hearts to live according to what God desires. And obedience shows up in our everyday actions, the way we treat others, the way we approach life's challenges, and the way we respond to life's difficulties. Another example I want to share is about a woman in my community. Someone who's a little older, but her life is a beautiful testament to watchfulness. She's not just a mother and grandmother. She's someone who embodies living with purpose. Every day, she begins her morning with quiet time for prayer and reflection. She's not just saying the right words, but she's living them. When she sees someone in need, she doesn't hesitate to help. Whether it's a meal, a word of encouragement, or simply being present, she lives with that quiet, constant obedience. And in doing so, her life becomes a beacon of light to others, a living example of what it means to be truly awake. So, what's the key here? Living awake is not something complicated or distant. It's a matter of being aware in each moment of how we're living and making sure we're living in a way that pleases God. Watchfulness isn't about waiting for a big, dramatic event. It's about the small, everyday choices we make to follow God's will. I know many of you might be thinking, but life is so busy. How can I stay awake every single day? But the truth is, being awake isn't about how much time you have. It's about your attitude. Watchfulness is about making sure we're not letting the distractions of the world keep us from what matters most, our relationship with God. It's about ensuring that we don't let the chaos around us drown out the still, small voice of God that's calling us to live for Him. So, let's begin today. Every day, whether at work, at home, or in our daily routines, remember that we're called to live in a state of readiness and obedience. Every action, every word, every thought can be an opportunity to live like someone who is truly waiting for Jesus' return. And when He does return, we want to be found ready, not by chance, but by choice. Being awake isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about living with a sense of purpose every day. Being aware that every action, every decision, every moment is an opportunity to obey God and live in alignment with His will. So, my friends, as we wrap up today's message, I want to leave you with one last thought. Living awake is a daily choice. It's not something we can just do once and then forget about. It's a lifestyle, a mindset that we must carry with us every day. Being ready for Jesus' return isn't about waiting for some distant event in the future. It's about being prepared right now, in our hearts and in our actions. You see, watchfulness is not just a state of mind. It's a way of living. It's a choice to be aware of God's presence in every moment, to obey His commandments in every decision, and to reflect His love in every action we take. And when we do that, we are truly preparing ourselves for His return, not by our own efforts, but by surrendering to His will, living each day with purpose and intention. I know life is busy, and it's easy to get distracted by all the noise around us. But remember this, we don't have to wait for some dramatic moment to live fully awake. We can start today. Every moment, every small action, every choice can be an opportunity to live out our faith, to obey, and to be ready. It's about living with an eternal perspective, choosing today what will matter for eternity. So, as you go about your day, I encourage you to ask yourself, am I living like someone who is truly awake? Not just in the big moments, but in the little things. How you treat others, how you respond to challenges, how you spend your time. These are the moments that matter most. When Jesus returns, he won't be looking for the knowledgeable or the curious. He will be looking for the obedient, the ones who stayed awake, who lived with intention, and who loved as he taught us to love. So, let us live each day in watchfulness, not out of fear, but out of love and anticipation for his return. Thank you for spending this time with me. I pray that each of us may grow in watchfulness and obedience, preparing our hearts for the day when we will meet him face to face. May we be found ready, with our lamps burning bright, living in his love and grace every day.